So it's something where I had to take that opportunity and align it with what was already going on, which requires a lot of faith. Okay, so this is where that faith comes in. It's just sometimes when you're trying to grow, you have to be in uncomfortable situations. It's going to be times where you're not going to be happy where you're at. You're not going to be comfortable, but it's part of the growth. Hello. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I'm Yasherica, and today's video is going to be about how to partner your plans with God's plans, how to pair them together. And so this video is, I tell you, speaking of plans, this one was not planned, okay? Literally, the only thing I have on here in my notes is to pretty much combine part 1 and part 2. Now, I'm talking about 2 videos that I've previously done that are already on my YouTube channel. So the 2 videos that I'm talking about is this. It's a category that I named the God and Girl Duo. Okay, so there's a part 1 and a part 2, and they have two different titles. Now, part 1 is called How to Trust God on Your Journey. Okay, and part 2 is How to Step into Your Purpose with God. Now, I'm going to discuss what was discussed in both of those videos, and I will link them below in the description. And I highly recommend that you watch those 2. And like I said, I am going to be talking about both of those videos and kind of like the meaning of them. So I'm going to go over both of them, and then you can see, you know, you really kind of need them both together for it to make sense. But you know, whichever topics you feel like is more related to you, I would watch that one. So like I said, this whole thing is pairing your plan with God's plan, and that's kind of what it comes down to in the 2 other videos that I already have. So, how to trust God on your journey. Now, that video is both of these, how to trust God on your journey and how to step into your purpose with God. These are 2 videos that I've done on my personal life. What's going on in my personal life? I have a lot going on, unexpected things, really, and you know, it's a whole lot of changing and shifting, and this is, you know, pretty much what I came up with the meaning to be. Well, you know, I wouldn't even say came up with, I would say God, you know, is talking to me, and he's telling me this is basically what it is and what it means, because the reality is I can't literally, you know, talk to God. God has not literally told me this is what's going on, you know, and things like that. I don't know 100% God's plan for me. But what I can say is it makes sense, you know. It's what I'm doing right now is something that doesn't really relate to just me. You know, I'm on to doing something that kind of it is for others as well. This movement that I'm in, okay? So and I talk about that. This whole journey is a kind of like a girl boss thing, is what I see it as. You know, I feel like part of my purpose is to help other girls, help other women. So that's part of mine. But without further ado, let's get into it. So we're going to start with part 1. I'm going to get into what was in part 1, what was in part 2, and what it has to do with this plan, right? What is the meaning of it, and you know, how I feel is aligning with God's plan. And I feel like, you know, God's plan kind of came. It's one of those situations where I don't even know which came first. It's like, they ask if it's the chicken or the eggs. So I'm like, I don't know. I feel like some of these things God was already preparing me for, but the timing is definitely on His. So, God did everything. Why am I even debating on this? This is God's plan. God's plan came before my plan. Okay. So yes, I'm going to start now. And I'm actually going to do another video after this on, you know what, never mind. All right, how to trust God on your journey. So in that video, I discussed getting closer to God. So my relationship with Him, like I said, a lot of the things that are going on right now are, they were unexpected. As far as timing, I'm doing things a little bit earlier than expected. And so it kind of happened suddenly. And, I admit I was not necessarily ready for some of the things that are going on right now. And it kind of it made me break down a little bit. I've done a lot of crying, a lot of talking to Him more, which I did not typically do in the past. I definitely believed in Him, but I was not praying as much and really talking to Him as much as I am now. And so a lot of things that are going on right now is just causing me to have to pray and have to talk to Him and have a lot of faith. Okay, so that was number one, right? One of the main things that caused me to have to, grow my relationship with Him was the fact that I am moving sometime this week. We already have a new house, and so yes, that's new. That was unexpected, being that I just moved into the current house I'm in now last year this time. And so, I was not expecting to move this soon, to be moving again. And with the moving, I moved into a different city, so a different area. So I could not keep the job that I had. And so I had to leave. I had to quit. And that's a bit of financial drop. Now, the plan, right? Let's talk about the plan. This is a good time to get into the plan. My job was, I was a cashier at the Home Depot, and I've been there for 4 months. Now, everybody was asking about doing a transfer, and I could have done a transfer, but this was a time for me and an opportunity for me to do something else, to do something different, which requires a lot of faith. Okay, so this is where that faith comes in, to do something different that's outside of that typical 9 to 5. So yes, that's the main thing. I have to have faith that, God is going to get me to where I need to be financially so that I will be okay, stepping out into something different and trying to leave this 9 to 5 world, right? So that's that. So one of the things that I'm planning on doing is this delivery side hustles. So by delivery, your typical DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart, stuff like that. Those are very popular now. And the reason that I'm doing something like that rather than a typical 9 to 5 is because the deliveries are more flexible, you know, they're more on my time, as well as I can be more available to do other things, because there are other things that I'm going to be doing that I discuss in part 2. So I'm going to get to that in a few minutes, in a few seconds. So that's one of the ways that I have planned. One of the ways that I have planned to make money more consistently, okay? So that's going to replace my 9-to-5. Now, something else that I talked about in that video is being blessed to be behind. Because, so by behind, what I mean is, you know, I'm talking about certain things that I do not have in life. This vehicle is one. This is not mine. This vehicle is my grandmother's. But I use it a lot. I have a lot of videos in this car. I run all my errands, you know, in this car. This is her car. I don't have a car of my own, but you know, I was saying that's more of a good thing, because if I did have a car, I probably would not be able to start this opportunity to be able to transition to something outside of a 9-to-5. Because if I had a car, you know, when I get a car, I plan to buy it cash, okay? I really don't want to do payments, only because there's other things you have to pay for. You know, you got to get the insurance, and you have to have money saved in place for any, you know, car trouble, new tires, and all of those type of things. So it's like, you know, I want to try to at least eliminate one and go ahead and buy the car cash now. But what I'm saying, you know, if I had a car, I would have had more responsibilities, and it would have been harder for me to do something like that with the expenses it would take. Same thing for an apartment or a house, you know. Things would be needed for that that I probably would not have been able to cover by doing everything that I'm planning on doing now, you know, outside of a 9-to-5. So I talked about that as well. You know, I'm glad that I don't have these things, even though I want these things. I really want these things. I'm glad that I don't, because I would not have been able to be in this journey that I'm going into right now. It probably would have took me even longer, if ever, to happen. So I talk about being glad for that. Like I said, if it was not for this move and having to move, I probably would have kept my job for maybe towards the end of this year, and you know, I wouldn't be going into this journey now and kind of starting something. So I would have to kind of start this journey sometime next year, you know. So for let's say January. Y'all, car just came parked beside me, and it's like, wow, why would you even do that? But anyway, let's say like January. Now, if I waited till then, I probably would not have, well, I wouldn't have whatever I'm going into. So let's say, you know, I go into this and I do all of these things and I have success, or I become successful, you know, that would have to been delayed. So, you know, I'm glad that things are happening now and shifting now, so that I can, you know, by January, I can be in a better situation, not starting that better situation, which is a better option. Okay, so that's part 1. If you're interested in any more details and any of those things, make sure you watch part 1, which is how to trust God on your journey. So part 2 is how to step into your purpose with God, right? So in that one, I talk about, it's really about the rest of my plans, right? As far as finance, I talk about having faith in finance, right? So that's one of the things that I do. That's one of the things that I have planned, right? So what it is I talk about my career, I talk about investments, I talk about being a YouTuber. I talk about working with Amazon as an Amazon affiliate. I talk about all my social media pages and growing those kind of as a promoter or influencer. And then I talk about my business as well. I have a small business. So that's 6 other things that I have going on other than the deliveries, right? So these are other ways for me to, make money. Now those ones won't be as consistent. Some of those are going to take longer. Like YouTube, I don't have enough subscribers as of yet. But that is something that I still work towards it. There's no other way. If I just, sit here and wait for subscribers to appear, like, it'll never happen. You know what I'm saying? It'll never happen. So what it is I have to keep pushing, keep putting these videos out. And I'm actually doing 2 today. I'm doing this one now, and then I have another one I'm going to do right after this one. And I brought an extra shirt just so I can, be able to change the thumbnail a little bit, because I'm going to do that video here as well. So yeah, I have to keep pushing towards that. But those are the things that I discuss. Now, career, I'm talking about real estate. I've been licensed for 2 years, but I haven't been active in it. So I just had to renew my license, and now I'm going to be more active, because let me tell you, it's real estate is something that you have to be available for. So that's another reason I'm doing the deliveries, because that will have me more available than my 9 to 5. Because depending on what you do, you can't really be on your phone. If you're working in like retail or fast food or something like that, you can't be on your phone. And so it's harder to be available like that, so that's another reason why I'm trying to get out of the 9 to 5, because it's kind of blocking me from something that I'm already trying to do. So that's that. Then you have the investment, which is the phone that I'm using right now. That phone costed me $2,000. Okay, and there's a reason I paid that much, and I discussed that in that video in part 2. Again, YouTube, Amazon affiliates. Like, I do have something that I'm using right now is my phone holder. It's a car phone holder, and if you are planning on doing car vlogs, I highly recommend you get this, because it's a good way to hold your phone up. Because if you bring a typical tripod and you bring that into the car, it can easily slide and fall, especially when you're moving. If you're driving, this one is going to keep still. So I love that, because sometimes I do kind of talk to the camera while I'm driving, and you don't want your typical stand in here and it's tilting over when you're hitting your brakes or whatever. So I highly recommend that. That is something that I have. I will have a link below. Again, social media, I'm still trying to grow all my social media pages. I'm not as active right now because of this moving process, and I was working and very, very busy, didn't really have time for it, but now I do. So I'm going to be growing that right after my move, so I can start posting back on those. And then my business, YTB Outlet, which YTB stands for You're the Boss. So it's You're the Boss Outlet. And right now I have different planners: daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. So yes, right now I just have the planners, but I am going to add some other actual physical products soon. I'm hoping to get that done before the year ends. So please make sure that you stay in tune with that. So yeah, those are the things that I talked about in part 2, how to step into your purpose with God. So really quick, let's get into the meaning, right? So the whole thing is how to pair your plan with God's plan, right? So like I said, I was not expecting to start any of these things right now, right? So the moving has caused me to leave my job. I said, I probably wasn't going to leave my job until another 6 months. So, you know, I feel like at that point, that was God's plan for me to move. You know, it wasn't my plan for me to have to move and quit my job at that time. So it's something where I had to take that opportunity and align it with what was already going on, you know, because it's just some things that are out of your control, and you just have to, you got to move with it. You got to shift with it. You know what I'm saying? So, because I had to quit my job, I took that opportunity and I said, you know what, I'm not going to go back into that. I'm going to go into something different. I'm going to go into something new, you know? So that's where I said, you know, I'm going to take all of my plans and ideas that I already had and just kind of go full throttle with those. And I had to figure out, okay, what's a way for me to make money if I'm not going back into the 9-to-5? And so I figured, all right, let's do the deliveries. Now, let me tell you, honestly, I don't really like to drive, to be honest. Like, it's not that I don't like to drive, it's just other people on the road, you know, other people that irritate me, you know, like this car that's parked beside me right now, like all the parking spaces, y'all, I'm in an empty parking lot, like there's not much people down here, but like, why it always gotta be somebody that parked by you? Like, all the empty places they can go, and they gotta go by you. Stuff like that, you know, it ain't got nothing to do with me driving. It's the other people that kind of irritate me. But anyway, you know, I'm just saying that's a situation where it's like, okay, I'm doing this, but you know, I'm kind of, I can't say that I'm comfortable, you know, and it's just sometimes when you're trying to grow, you have to be in uncomfortable situations. You know what I'm saying? You got to be in an uncomfortable place in your life. You know, it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be times where you're not going to be happy where you're at. You're not going to be comfortable, but it's part of the growth. So that's what it's going to be for me, because I don't like driving, and deliveries, that's all you do is drive to the food and to them. You know, it's a cycle of that, you know what I'm saying? So that's part of having to align my plans with God's plan. You know, it's not always going to be exactly what you want. Sometimes it's going to take something that you're not into or that you don't really like in order to get there. So, you know, that's one piece of it. But the good part of it is that I can do all of these other things that I want to do. You know, I can get back into my career. I can get back into YouTube, because I did slow down once I started working. I did slow down on my YouTube videos, and I've been pretty consistent this month. And you know, the reason I'm doing 2 videos today is so that I can have one for this Sunday and next Sunday, because I need 3 more videos to finish up this month. I've been posting on Sundays and Thursdays this month, so you know, I've been pretty consistent with that. So I have two more Sundays in this month. So I have this video is going to be this upcoming Sunday, and then the next upcoming Sunday I'm going to post the second video that I do today. Also, I already have one for Thursday that I'm currently editing, and I'll finish that one sometime today or tomorrow. So yeah, you know, I'm getting back into that, and my business, of course. I really want to get my business back up and running. You know, I had this business for 3 years. Now I've changed the name, I've changed the products that I've sold, but you know, that's something I've been working on for the past 3 years, and it's something that I haven't given up on. And I feel like, you know, this is a time, and this is a point in time where I can actually go for it now. So that's very important to me. So that's, you know, like I said, this is how I'm aligning my plans with God's plan. You know, God made it so I would have to get out of certain situations that I was in so that I can step into this new one, right? So that was the whole point of this video, kind of go over what I was saying in part 1 and part 2, and you know, trying to really make you guys understand and put a meaning with it so that you can see what's going on and how they correspond, how they go together. You know, like I said, the first 2 videos I called God and Girl Duo, and you know, now it has to do with pairing our plans together, my plans and God's plans. So you know, it has a lot to do with what's going on in this journey and how God is in it. You know, he's definitely in it, at least for me. But you know, if you don't get anything else out of this, or you're not as religious or religious at all, I would just say that the main thing is to just go with the flow. As things shift in your life, you know, you got to shift with it, you know. You gotta, I would say, if things are falling apart, right? If the world is falling apart, you gotta find a way to shift it to where you're not falling with it. You know, you gotta have your own little foundation, right? So let me this as y'all see, this was not in the notes, right? I already went over what was in part 1 and part 2, and the only thing in this one I had was to compare part 1 and part 2. But I want to say this. I want you to think of it as like an ice age, right? And you know how the ice starts breaking, you know, and you're separated from everybody else, or the world, or you know, however you want to put it. You know, it could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be everybody, but you just have to make sure your area is good and that you have a foundation. So let's say that you're floating on this icicle, right? You're separated. You know, if the world is falling apart and all the other icicles are going in their direction, about time they go, is going in their direction, right? You want to make sure that you have your icicle in place. You know, you still have your foundation. So, you know, that's another thing. You know, thank God that you're not, if we're thinking in this concept, right, in this situation, thank God that you're not drowning. You know, that you have some type of foundation that you're floating on, right? So if you're floating on this piece of ice, that's better than being underwater and drowning. So you got to think of it like that. You know, you may be separated from the rest of the world, you know, but you have your own little ice, right? So that's how I would look at it. Like I said, if you don't remember anything else from this video, just think of it as, you may be, you know, a lot of people say, you know, they're on thin ice. Now, these type of ices are usually thicker, but in terms of an ice age, but you know, just that's better than drowning. You're not necessarily drowning, but you know, if you just feel like things are not going the way that you wanted to, or like I said, if the world is falling apart, just see it in that way. And you know, who knows, eventually, you know, if you're floating on this ice, you may make it to eventually you'll make it to more land or more ice, a bigger ice, you know, and you just go from there. So I would look at it like that. But the reality is you gotta you got to use what you got is one of the biggest things. Using what you got, right? So all of these things that I have going on, or that I want to go on, you know, I'm using my skills. You know, all of these things are different things that I know about or that I'm good at, and you know, I'm turning them into ways to make money, you know. So I'm using what I got. I'm using my skills, my gifts, you know, my talents. I'm using those, using what I got, using my resources, you know. So that's the main thing, right? So I basically told you guys my story of part 1 and part 2, how to trust God on your journey, how to step into your purpose with God. These are all things that I've had to do. I had to do those, and you know, I'm pretty much pairing and aligning my plans with God's plan, you know. And like I said, you know, I see it as God's plan when it becomes more than me. You know, that's just how I see it. That's how I look at it. When it becomes more than just me, and it's about, you know, helping other people, then that's what I do. You know, that's what I believe in. Like I said, you know, I'm my store, You're the Boss outlet. That's for girl bosses, really. Like, you know, I'm trying to help other women. This whole journey, I plan on vlogging it. You know, everything that I'm doing, I'm pretty much going to vlog and, you know, just show other girls, other women that it can be done. You know, so this is past me. I'm being used. You know, God is using me for this, but it's not just about me anymore, and that's why I feel like the plans are aligned together, you know, using my skills and what I know to help other people. You know, that's what it's for. That's what it's all about. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, if you have not watched part 1 and part 2, I highly recommend that you watch those as well, so you can get the full story on what it is that I'm doing in life, my plans, my goals, and what God has, how he's chipped in, you know, what he has to do with it as well. So make sure that you're watching those videos. I will have them linked in the description, and I also have another video on how I started my relationship with God as a teenager. I have that one as well. So if you like videos like that, please subscribe to my channel. Those videos, none of these videos, I never knew that I was going to really talk such religion on my channel. But if you're interested in videos like those, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and come back and see me, you guys. So I'll see you guys in the next video.